Welcome back to Sassy Jack's Stitchery and Yonder Ways Flosstube channel. If you're not familiar with us and this is your first time watching, we are a needlework shop in Weaverville, North Carolina, which is just north of Asheville. Really, we're kind of a bedroom community to Asheville, North Carolina, which is over in the western part in the mountains in the Blue Ridge. So this is where I grew up, and then I wandered away for a good 25 years, and then I left that life behind and came home and opened up this shop, which I love very much. And our shop is 3 years old this year, and it's brick and mortar. So thank you guys for all the love and support that you've given us along the way. We appreciate you. This video is part 2 of our Jeannette Douglas Designs trunk show. So if you haven't watched part 1, you want to go check that out. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The folks of you that got to see it, and we had so much in the trunk show, and because we're closed down for quarantine, we weren't able to, have you guys come into the shop. We wanted to share it with you this way, and we had to break it into 2 parts. So this is the second part, and I might hit 1 or 2 things over again because I had, a couple of favorites in that first video, and so anyway, you may see 1 or 2 things over again. But I want to start with some of the blooming bouquets. I think they're just beautiful, and they're framed really pretty too. So this one is called Thankful. And I just love this, especially right now, when we're all trying to focus on the joy in life. I love this pretty sampler. So if I can get it up close for you so you can... There's 4 of these so far, and they all just make my heart sing. I love them. So this one has a little bit of beading down here, and it's got a little bit of specialty stitch. Those are just little long stitches. They take different names depending on their shape, but they're easy to do. They're just straight stitches down there. And then she's put some very tiny, tiny little beads in there. I love this one. I would love to have a chance to sit down and stitch all 4 of these this spring and summer. And you've got some other little specialty stitches up here. Now, I will tell you, if you have not had a chart of Jeannette's, she does amazing charting. So her... designs for, I had one out I was going to show you, but I'll see if I can find that one since we were just looking at it. For specialty stitches is just amazing. So that one was Thankful. Let me show you what her stitch diagrams look like, because they're just fantastic. I won't show you the whole chart, but I just want to show you the stitch diagrams. So, for example, they're big, they're clear, they're numbered, they show you exactly where to put the thread, where to go down, where to come up. You're just really, it's like a count by number. So, they're all just amazing. And in fact, I'm going to show you a book of beautiful designs that really are Canadian in focus, but the book is so fantastic with the stitch diagrams. And if you're not Canadian, if you're Canadian, you should have that book. If you're not Canadian, you should probably think about getting that book for the stitch diagrams. And then you can always modify the designs in there to fit, whatever you want them to fit. So that was the first blooming bouquets, and that was Thankful. This one is beautiful, and it is beautiful. So, Pretty Roses. And the linen that these are on is a Picture This Plus. And I mean, you could put them on your own linen, but the Picture This Plus variegated linen gives it that nice aged patina to it. So I can get that one up closer for you. And another beautiful framing job. And most of these are framed by Edie's Framing and Design, maybe all of them, in Canada. So I love that. This one is beautiful. Okay. I struggle with where to put them in the midst of something like this because I can't hang them easily. Okay, this is the next one. I really love the frame on this one too. I love It's sweetness. It's kind of small. This one is Cheerful. So this one is Blooming Bouquets Cheerful, and I really love the border on this one, and I love the flowers. It looks a little bit fractorish to me, and the flower blossom at the and the urns. This one I'm definitely stitching. I'm telling you, I could spend the rest of my life stitching Jeannette Douglas designs. There are other designers that I really love too, and I feel the same way about them. I've got some track shows from them I'm going to show you, but it's hard. You know, if there was a reason I'd want to live forever, it would be these things. It might be one of the few reasons. Okay, so Cheerful. Blooming Bouquets. This is number 2, Cheerful. Now, the neat thing about a lot of Jeannette's designs, these included, is that you can get the thread pack with them, which has the silks. And so, you know, sometimes it gets a little pricey to go out and buy full skeins of all the silks that you would need to do a design. And so Jeannette's been really great about providing thread packs. And so you can actually just buy the thread pack for the sampler that you're interested in, and it will have enough silks in there, because a lot of these are done with silks or other threads, to stitch the design. And if they have little charms or beads, she usually includes that stuff too. So when you look at the embellishment pack, is what we call them, when you look at the embellishment pack for a specific design and you think, wow, that's steep, it might be a little, you know, sticker shock for you, but it's so much more economical than going out and buying full skeins of all of those particular threads that you would need, and then hunting down the embellishments, the beads and the charms and stuff that hang on it. So if you want to stitch one of these, any of Jeannette's designs pretty much have those available with the called for threads. The embellishment pack and the, you know, silk pack is really a fantastic deal. So just keep that in mind. Don't let yourself get distracted by the fact that it is kind of sticker shock. If you stitch with silks a lot, you're used to that. You're not so shocked. Okay, this one is Blooming Bouquets number 3. This one is Joyful. Clearly, I didn't show them to you in order. That's okay. I love this one. This one, while it's not, I don't know if it's really a poinsettia or not, but it makes me think of Christmas from the poinsettia. But this is one I would keep out all year round because of these pretty little flowers there. I love it. I just think the borders on these are what makes them, along with the linen. I do think the linen on these really calls to them. They're just perfect. And if I looked at this linen, this is definitely a picture of this plus. I don't know exactly what this one calls for, but I'm going to say it's probably, looks to me like a legacy. It is legacy. So, this linen, the name of it is Legacy, and we do have a lot of Legacy in stock. Picture this plus makes beautiful fabric. It's on a Zweigart base, which is what a lot of our overdyes are on. And it's Zweigart. If you've stitched on a Lakeside linen, that's on a Zweigart base. If you stitched on Picture This Plus, it's on a Zweigart base. There are a number of other overdyers that are on a Zweigart base, so you know you're probably familiar with how they feel. We call it the hand, how they feel in hand. And, you know, if you like that, it's because it's a Zweigart base. Zweigart makes a really nice linen. Okay, so this next one I love, and I'm definitely going to stitch this. This is called Inspiring Stitches. And I think this was a new one for 2019. In fact, 2020. I'm sure it was. So this is an e-release. And I love the black work in it, of course, and, you know, all the other beautiful stitches that are in it. And this is another one that, you know, if you're worried about doing the specialty stitches, do one of Jeannette's and you won't be worried because her stitch diagrams are amazing. Which is why we're using, you know, her book for our Learning Stitches series that we're doing. Let's get a close-up view of this. Inspiring Stitches. And this one, of course, does have a thread pack with it. Look at the little bunny rabbit and the little squirrel over on the side here. Yay. Yay for squirrels. And a sweet little peacock and a hedgehog up there at the top, it looks like. Yeah, this is one of my favorite releases from Market. So, and it's got beads that run across the top here. I don't know if you can see the sweet little beads on that. It's just really pretty. And so if you, I'll probably have some pictures that I can share with you guys at some point. She's got a lot of little specialty stitches over here on this one. It's really pretty. I've been very, very privileged and lucky to see a lot of antique samplers and some that aren't out for public viewing. And a lot of the really old, beautiful antiques that I've seen, like I've been privileged to see antiques from the Sella collection in Germany about 3 times, and that museum closed, and so those antiques are not on display anywhere. But I've gone on 3 different needlework trips with Susan Greening Davis, and she's been able to get us access with Lorraine Moots kind of hosting the viewing, and we've been able to view those antiques. And a lot of the antique samplers will have, 2 sections. And so they might have a whole side that is black work and then a whole side that is, white work. And so this sampler to me is very reminiscent of some of those antiques. It's kind of like a modern take and a little bit more manageable size of something that looks really amazing. So sometime I'll try to pull some of my pictures out, photographs, and share those with you. They're just stunning. And I so wish that they were still on display. But, sometimes if museums don't have enough patronage, then they just can't stay open. And I think that, I might be wrong, but I think that a lot of the things in there might have came from a private collection or something like that. Anyway, I'd have to go back and look at my notes. So when we do that little video, I'll talk to you more about that. But this, to me, makes me think about those really amazing antiques from the, 16 and 1700s. So I love this one. So also on my list, big list. That's okay. Maybe I'll live forever. I need a helper to stand behind me and describe these. Wouldn't that be a great job? Hey Kim, let me hold that sample for you. So this one is the Common Thread, and I love this one. And now this year, Common Thread 2 came out, and so this is just an amazing sampler too. And this has actually got a little embellishment, a little metal heart that lays on top of that design there. I should have brought my little stylus. And it's got beads laid in here. It's just a stunningly beautiful sampler. This would make a beautiful gift. Yeah, like a housewarming gift or wedding gift. And it's one that you could make without really... if you wanted to personalize it, you can personalize it. You could be subtle about it. But wow, what a beautiful, beautiful piece of artwork to have in your home. Just love it. Now, this does come also with an embellishment pack, or you can buy the embellishment pack, which is fantastic because I don't know if you can see the little charms that are kind of embedded on here. Those would all come in the embellishment pack, and you don't have to hunt around or poke around for them. But it kind of shows you what you can do with taking some personal items and some charms and putting them into your needlework. Because if you have special things that you've collected through your life, like little charms from your travels, or maybe buttons from, your mom's button box or whatever, you can put them into your needlework and make it just stunningly beautiful and very meaningful to you or to your child or to your sister or your aunt or your friend. And this is a lot of work to put in to give a friend, but some friends are worth it. In fact, many friends are worth it. Or you could keep it for yourself. I know that if you're like me, most of us will make things, give it away. We need to keep a little more for ourselves. I'd have to make 2 of these if I was going to give one away, because I'd have to have this one in my house. When I get my little room set up, maybe I'll have this one done. We'll do some filming from my house at some point. Maybe you'll get to see my finished version. Which, by the way, I haven't started yet. Sorry, you get to see my ears and nose and all that good stuff as I lean over to do that. Okay. Another beauty here. This one is the common thread too. How about that? You'd think I planned it. I did better at planning and organizing this morning than I did with the last one, but I love this one. I love that tree. Again, a nice mix of what looks like different types of needlework, and it's really, you know, some of it is. So you've got, I mean, there's a lot of specialty stitches in here, but there's a lot of just beauty created with thread variegation. And it's another one that I just love. And so I don't know if you can see the embedded pieces in here, but there's, you know, little charms. That key is a charm. I believe that the crown is a charm, and there's some on there pretty tight, so they're not moving around. This is another one that, you know, love it, stitch it, buy the Embellishment Pack, so that you can get all the threads in there. And if you love Jeannette Douglas and you're not part of her Facebook group, you should join that. And there's a group out there that stitches her designs, and you can see all the different beautiful finishes. Sorry. I may have to edit some of that out. Maybe not. Okay. This one is called, this is a new release for 2020, and this is called Heart of Gratitude. And of course, it's framed stunningly. Edie's framing in Calgary. If you're Canadian, you're lucky to have her up there. And that's so pretty. I just love this one. And you know, if you didn't want to frame it this way, you could put it on a box top. There's some things you could do with this that would just be beautiful. I love it. Gratitude is the heart's memory. That's really true. What a pretty piece. Love the birdies down there. Okay. Okay, this is the English Rose Sampler. And this is one of the ones that I took the chart out, because you do have some specialty stitches here. Now, this bottom part looks like pulled thread, thread weaving. It's meant to look like thread weaving, but it's not. It's just regular stitching. But the way she put those metallics in there, it looks like it's woven, even from a pretty close distance. And thread weaving is really pretty. This is a beautiful sampler, and you definitely have some specialty stitches in here. But they're not hard ones. They're mostly straight stitches. And on the little lammy, she's used some whisper thread, so his little coat looks furry. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous sampler. And I want to show you, you know, some of the charting again, because I want you to see the quality of Jeannette's charting. I'm just going to show you a specialty stitch for it. Okay, so this is kind of cool. So she has said in here for some of these things that you can choose to do this just in cross stitch, or you can do this in specialty stitches. And she's told you the specialty stitches. She's given you the colors to use for it. Just really neat. So this is the flower in the top center, I believe. Let me just look at it and see. Yeah. So you see this really pretty flower right here. Now, so she gave you an option to do that just in cross stitch, which is fine. I really want you to get a good look at that, how pretty that is. And then she came in and she gave you the stitch diagram and told you what threads and stuff to use so that you could do it in specialty stitches. And so you can see from this diagram that there are arrows on here that show you where to come up, where to go down. It's just fantastic, Tudor Rose. So, there's a lot of wonderful designers in the industry, and we are grateful for every single one of them. But when you find somebody who can create stitch diagrams that are clear and simple and easy to follow, you know, that's a treasure. And so if you are interested at all, you know, in, you know, doing some other stitches, specialty stitches, and just because they're specialty stitches don't mean they're hard. Doesn't mean that they're hard. It just means that they're not a cross stitch. There's something else. And so you just need a diagram for it. That's it. When you find somebody who can do a diagram like Jeannette Douglas can do a diagram, and it's that clear and that easy, you know, that's where you learn from. And so on that note, I want to show you this book. So this book is called the Canadian Journey series, and it's a big book, and it's spiral bound, which is really nice. And inside of it, it's got it's just a beautiful book, but it's got some samplers that are Canadian in nature. Some of all Jeannette's designs, and so one of them's called the True North. One of them's called the Atlantic Seaboard, and then she's got all the charting in here for it. But and she's got beautiful pictures of Canada, which is kind of neat. But also buried in here are just amazing stitch diagrams. So, you know, this is a stitch diagram for a lobster trap, which this is a picture of a lobster trap. Now, you're just not going to find that everywhere. So this book is full of that. And there are designs of puffins in here. I mean, I love this book, and I want this book in my library. This is like a reference book. You know, there's some beautiful samplers. Like this is a picture of the Fleur De Lis Sampler that's in here. And I mean, there are elements of this sampler that you could pull out and make your own. I mean, just because the book is Canadian doesn't mean that we don't have some of these same beautiful, you know, animals and scenery here in, you know, the U.S. So, and maybe you've been to Canada and you want to mark, you know, that trip, but you're just not gonna find a book like this with this many great stitch diagrams in it that are very, kind of unusual in a way, because like that lobster trap stitch diagram I showed you, I've never seen that anywhere. You know what I mean? And that's all done in specialty stitches, and you know, they're just like, I'm going to show you this herringbone stitch. That's a fantastic diagram. And, you know, and you're seeing how she uses the stitches, how she incorporates those into her sampler. So, you know, if you ever thought about creating your own sampler, this would be a great book, because you can kind of see how she incorporated the different stitches to bring to mind certain things. And you can figure out how to use that in your own sampler. So, and she's got just so much information in here. It's just really, really neat. I love it. I wasn't sure what it would be when I knew it was a, you know, Canadian sampler book, but then, you know, I looked at it. So here's another example. Up North Cottage, right? And so she showed you how to create this cottage using specialty stitches. Anyway, so I'll quit gushing about this, but I love this book. And if you know, in any way, shape, or form have a needlework library and you collect books, this is a fabulous book to put in it. And it's just a great book to sit down and look through. I mean, she's got just stunning pictures in here. I mean, and I'm from the mountains, right? And so I love this stuff. I mean, every day I drive through some beautiful country. I grew up in a town that's literally 3 exits up from where the shop is. So it was a little town. And you can't drive anywhere into or out of Asheville without seeing the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains that surround you. But I married a man who lives out in farm country, which is just like 15 minutes from here. And I come the back way to work every day. And so I drive through farm country, and I'm driving through just these spectacular panoramic views of fields and mountains behind them, and barns, old barns. And, you know, and then you also have just regular, normal people trying to live, you know, and make a living there too. And so you've got little small cottages, and, you know, and in my next newsletter, I'm going to talk about some things I saw on a drive home about a week ago, which it just filled my heart, because I saw all these different pieces of scenery and animals, and I don't want to ruin it, but I just couldn't believe it. And I should have just stopped the car and started taking pictures, but sometimes, honestly, I don't do that because, and sometimes I don't stop and do that because if I stop to take the picture, I kind of lose the moment sometimes, and I'm sure you can appreciate that. So sometimes it's fun just to create it in your mind's eye. And anyway, so, I love anything that reminds me of home, and I can tell that this Canadian Journey series just was really close to Jeannette's heart by the love that she put into the pictures that she included and the stitches that she made to help represent her home country. So this is called the Canadian Journey series, and it's a nice thick book, well worth your investment. So keep this one in mind. I don't have a sampler from it to show you. Maybe one of the Canadians will post one for us. So if you're in Canada and you've stitched something from this book, please feel free to come out to the Sassy Jacks page and post that, or post it on Jeannette's page and put a note on here and tell us about it. We would love it. So I wanted to share that with you because I was just, enamored with that. All right, let's do a few smalls and we'll jump back to some of the bigger ones because I'm having a good time. So I can't remember if I showed you this in the beginning. If I did, I apologize. We'll see it again. So, this one is called the Fall Posy. I hope this is not the second time you're seeing it. And if it is, I'm not going to cut it out. You're just going to have to see it again. But I love the Jabco pins on this, and I'm a fall person. So, and this is what the back of this little piece looks like. So definitely these are available. I don't see the maker on here, but I'm pretty sure we can get these for you. We might have them. Jeannette with the trunk show. I'm going to give you car signals. Just put it right here in front of my face. Jeannette with the trunk show sent us a lot of the boxes. So we've got the boxes in stock. So hopefully they're on the website. If not, I'll get them out there. With such a small staff, we've been splitting up some duties and tasks. And Allie, who a lot of you guys talked to and met, she worked here for a couple of years, she puts a lot of stuff online for us. She does a lot of that stuff because she lives in Virginia now. She's a neat person. If you... she did a podcast with Gary on Fiber Talk. He was enamored with her the same way that I was, and so he interviewed her. But she's just an amazing, talented, artistic young person, and I just loved her the minute I met her. I love her still. I wish she could have stayed here and worked forever beside me, but she's young and she needs to live her life. And she is over in Virginia, and she's just really having a great time. She's growing flax and, hopefully going to make some linen one day to stitch on. But she's a weaver by trade, and she does stitching too, and that's how I met her. She came in to get some floss. But she is a very fabulous weaver, and she does some teaching at some of the craft schools around. So we get to see her still pretty often. But she still does our charting for us, and she still... does some of our website stuff. She does a lot of stuff for me, actually. I send her a note, and she just is Johnny on the spot. So I appreciate her so much for all the help that she's given us. But she put all these things online for us to get us ready for this trunk show. And I'm not sure if I told her everything. So no fault of hers if it's not there. This one is Spring Posy. Pretty little Jabco pins, which we do have in the shop. And what a neat little finish, right? Easy, super easy little finish. You're just puffing it up to make a pin cushion and putting it on top of this little wooden disc. Really nice, fun. And, I might have just told you the wrong thing. Because I said that was Spring Posy, but that might have been Summer Posy. This is actually Spring Posy. I believe the other one was Summer Posy. So, scratch that. Pencil in Summer Posy. Sorry. I'm trying to find my little chart for it here. I have many charts here. That was Summer Posy. This one's Spring Posy. So, and you've got beautiful handmade pins there. Really pretty pins. Those are gorgeous. I've seen a few tutorials out there on how to make pins. I've made a few pins myself. Counting pins is what they are. I've done a few myself. But yes, that was Summer Posy. Here's the chart for the first one. This was the first one I showed you. Summer Posy. Summer Posy. Spring Posy. Okay, that's right. All right, now I love this finish. I love this chart. This is called Jump Into Spring, and wow. Wow, and it's got this beautiful velvet on the back, which I'm sure is Lady Dot velvet, velveteen velvet, and chenille, which I'm sure is also from Lady Dot. We love her. Lois, she's just such a sweet person. And this one's got specialty stitches, so this is a nice little little bitty for you to try out your specialty stitching on. And so it's got some beautiful stitches here in the middle, which I am not gonna go on record saying what those are. They almost look like trellis stitches to me with the middle out. These guys, I'd have to look inside the chart. And I'm sure the chart is fantastic. But I'm telling you, if you've never, I love the feel of velvet. I actually have a velvet duvet, which my country farm boy husband has not let me put on the bed since we got married. So I'm gonna have to put it in the guest room so I can go wallow on it. But the feel of velvet in your hand on this pincushion is just fabulous. I love it. Such a neat feel. All right, so that's pretty. So that is Jump Into Spring. I want to show you Kind of Karen again. So let me grab. And if you haven't looked behind me, you can see some of my favorites from the last time. So I put up some of my favorites from the last time. Antique Animals. You guys have been loving on that. Or Vintage Animals, which is down there. I love that one. My finger to where it's pointing to it right there. Vintage Animals. This is the Star Quilt over here. Vintage Birds. I love that one, By the Sea. That's our Specialty Stitches sampler that we're doing right now online. And then right above that is Kind Karen, and I want to show you that one. Okay, there's a whole series of these, and this one is Kind Karen, and you can see that she's got all kinds of little toolies with her. And so there's like 6 or 7 of these at least. One of them's called Nimble Nelly. I don't know if I pulled them all out to show them to you. I think I just pulled out Kind Karen. But the reason I pulled out Kind Karen is because I really love it. It's such a sweet, simple little thing. And it's also stitched on Picture This Plus linen. And it gives it a nice little vintage look. But I'm going to change Karen to Kim. Not because I think I'm kind, but to remind myself to be kind. That's the point of that. But if you had a friend that you wanted to make one of these for, you could switch it with their name, right? I mean, I know that they all have names like Nimble Nelly. They start with but it could be Nimble Nancy or whatever. But honestly, it doesn't have to have the same letter in the name. I think these are great little gifts for friends that you could adapt, especially your stitching friends, because they all have something to do with stitching. So I will find them at the end of this and put them all in at the end, so that, or at least the charts, so that you can, which charts are available out there. But I love this one, and I think kindness matters, and we get busy sometimes, and kindness is not at the front of mind always. And so I think reminding ourselves to do that, or recognizing a friend that you think has this trait, your friend would probably love it. So anyway, that was my idea with this one. So that's Kind of Karen. All right. This is called Sew Together, and I love this. And so this is the one that came out in 2019. And you've got the first one, which is samplers. There are actually 4 different charts. So the first one is samplers. The second one is pins and needles, which is up here. The third one is scissors and threads, and the fourth one is flax and linen. And then in 2020, she came out with 4 new ones. And so I actually took some great pictures of that one, and I needed to send it off to her so she could finish up some of that. So I can't show you the whole thing because 2 of them aren't released yet, but I will show you the 2 that are released at the end. So you'll get to see a picture of that. I'll insert it, or maybe I'll insert it here. We'll see. But it'll just be the 2 that have been released so far. And there are 2 more coming for the year, which are fantastic. So I think these are great. And these would make good little needle books or pin cushions, or even framed like this. Is just fantastic to put in your sewing room. The other thing that would be great for this is banding. And so we do have some banding that is wide enough for this. And so, you could stitch these on banding, which I love, and then hang that in your craft room. So lots of different things you could do with this. You could make a book out of it. So each one of these are the same size, and you could actually stitch it up and make a little book out of it. You could make an etui with it. So for the ones where, it says scissors and threads, then you could actually, on the back of that page, you could make a place for your scissors, or you could put some floss things underneath it for your threads. So there's a lot of different things you could do with these that I love the thought of. So I like this series a lot. All right, so that's that one. Okay, this is another one of my favorites. This is called Hollandaise Mclubbe, and I probably showed this one to you last time. I think this is the one I was thinking about, but I love it. so it had to come back for an encore. And I lived in Holland for, I lived there solid in my own apartment for around a year. And I worked over there where I was staying in hotels for around 3 to 4 years, off and on, in the very early 2000s. So from like 2000 to 2004. And I want to go back even to 1999, maybe, is when I started. Maybe it was 2000. So 2000 to 2004, I spent tons and tons of time in Holland. And I lived in Rotterdam, which is just a little bit south of Amsterdam. And I loved it. Holland is a very beautiful green place, and it rains all the time. There's a portion of the year where it just rains a lot. And I lived on the Maas River, and I had an apartment that had a little porch or a deck, I guess a balcony, that faced out toward the river. And the very first night that I was there, of course, they lost my luggage, which was terrible because I had to buy new clothes, and going shopping in a foreign country is not all it's cracked up to be. Unless you're a size 3, which I've never been. So that was not fun. But the very first night I was there, I went out on my little balcony, and I was just going to enjoy some quiet time and just try to relax. And I heard this music, and it was the Rolling Stones. So they were playing a concert right across the river at this massive stadium. And so I got to sit outside on my little balcony and listen to the Rolling Stones. And it's the only time I've ever been to a Rolling Stones concert. And so that was kind of fantastic. It was great. And, another trip, another cool thing that happened there related to music is some friends that I made there that I worked with invited me to go on a weekend to a concert in Amsterdam. And so there were boats that lined all the canals in Amsterdam, or at least a good chunk of them, where these music concerts were happening. And you could literally walk across the canals by stepping from boat to boat to boat. And a friend had a friend who had a boat there, and it was all classical music. And so we spent, a Saturday or a Sunday on a boat in the canals, just listening to these wonderful musicians. And so that was really pretty cool. And one day I woke up in my apartment. This is the last story I'll tell. One day I woke up in my apartment, and I was like, what's that noise? Because it sounded like sheep. And I didn't live in the country. I lived, in Rotterdam. I lived not far from the Erasmus Bridge and from the university there. And and I got up and I looked out my window and there were sheep outside. And so it was the coolest thing ever. They leave it to the Dutch to do smart things. They had these sheep and they just went up and put temporary fences up and let them eat the grass down instead of, mowing. And so there was a little herd of sheep outside my apartment, and they moved around, to different little spots in that area for about a week, and they chewed up all the grass and then they took them somewhere else. And I thought, oh, now that's smart. So anyway, I still have great friends over there. And I miss them, and it was a fun few years of my life, but I will definitely be stitching this one. So the Dutch are good people. If you know any Dutch, they're fantastic. And I think Jeannette does some trips over there, which I want to jump on one of her trips. In fact, I know she does. So that's on my list to do. I want to jump on one of her trips. So I think she has some Dutch heritage too. So, but sometime I'll show you some great pictures I've got of Holland, and it's just a beautiful place. And we do have a sister shop in Holland, and it's called the Handwork Boutique. And my friend Annemiek, who I actually met through a needlework tour with Susan Greening Davis, Annemiek owns and runs that shop, and I've never gotten to see her shop, so it's on my list to go over there and visit her shop. But she is one of our sister shops. We have two. That's one of them. The other one is Linen and Threads in Australia, and it was my goal when I opened the shop to create to open us up to some cultural diversity, and let you guys know that the needlework world is not as vast. It's, people, it's a small world, really. And, I haven't had to focus on that as much because the ability to get online and all the groups and stuff that are out there, you guys are pretty well aware that there are great needlework shops all over the world. But Annemiek and I have a special project coming up this year, which we made a video on in Nashville, and I haven't posted it. So I just need a minute. I'll get that posted, so it'll be a lot of fun. But anyway, thank you, Jeannette, for this one. I love this. This is probably one of my favorite ever. Hollandaise Mclubbe. So sorry for boring you guys with those stories, but welcome to the world of Kim. So, okay. And this is another really beautiful one. This is called the ABC Sampler. So at the bottom, it's all full of specialty stitches, and Jeanette's chart walks you through those in really good detail. I showed you some of those charts before, but you can definitely do this. And the top is the alphabet. Another really beautiful one. Little band samplers at the bottom, kind of. The first two are little band samplers, really. And the last column here is kind of a spot sampler. So there's band samplers where you've got bands of stitches, like this one's very defined. And then you've got kind of spot samplers where you've got little spots of different motifs and stitches in there. So that's a really, really pretty one too. So, and that's pretty much all I had to show you. I do want to show you a embellishment kit. So this is the one for the common thread. We looked at that earlier. And I talked to you a little bit about the embellishment kit. So if you look at the back, you can see everything that's in there. So for the common thread, you have all of the different silks and threads that you need. And I love this spool down here at the bottom. This is a soie perlée. I love like soie goblin and soie perlée. I love it. And so to get to use some of these very beautiful threads, what a luxury and a privilege. And so she's got a list on here that tells you, needlepoint ink, silk, Gloriana, soie d'Alger, Belle Soie, the Karen collection, Mill Hill beads in here, charms, 7 different charms, and a soie perlée on a spool. So there's a ton of stuff in here. Oh, and here's if you couldn't see that before, but you see that little kit in there with all the embellishments and stuff. So, stitching one of these beautiful stitch samplers from Jeannette, is probably the way to go. from one friend to another. You don't have to buy it from me. Buy it from your local needlework shop. They can get it. They can get it from Jeannette. Because I love for you guys to support me. I do. I love it because we need it. We are in a rented building right now. It's a beautiful place, and we've got a classroom upstairs. It's an angry little dog outside. He needs a treat, that little dog, that little yappy dog. But paying rent was never part of my plan for my needlework shop, and that changes the dynamics a lot. And so I would ask you to support your brick and mortars, especially, almost all of them are paying rent to somebody. And if they're not paying rent, they're paying a mortgage. But that's a very different thing than an online shop. And I think we need our online shops. We do, because there's a lot of demand, and they have a place in the industry, and some of them are friends, and I appreciate what they do. But running an online shop where you don't have the overhead of rent is a whole different scenario. And so find yourself a chosen needlework shop. If you have a local needlework shop, I'm happy for you. And that's fantastic. And that is a privilege that a lot of us won't have. And I'm afraid that we'll lose some throughout this health crisis that we're in right now with the pandemic. And so all the more reason to support your local shops if you have one. And if you don't have a local shop, choose one and let it be your chosen needlework shop. So you see people use the term LNS a lot, local needlework shop. Well, you don't have to be local. It can be chosen. So have a CNS, which is your chosen needlework shop, and, help keep them open. We want to come through the other side of this with shops still here. And to do that, they need your support. And so, I realize that everybody's situation is different, and you might not have disposable income right now, or you might not have what you used to have. And, we're all kind of feeling that pinch. And so, but think about where you do spend your dollars, and, help keep these shops open. And to my earlier point, it doesn't have to be me. I hope you're watching this video because you love seeing these beautiful things. But if you got a shop down the street from you and you pop in there once a month, go buy something from them. Now's the time. If they're doing any kind of online thing or curbside or whatever, or as soon as they open their little doors back up, be Johnny on the spot. Let them know that you want them to stay there. And, if we're your chosen needlework shop, we love you. Thank you very much for the love and support that you've given us. And thank you above and beyond all of that for your patience. This has been an incredible, unprecedented, uncharted territory for us. And we were 2 people in here, only one of us a stitcher, which means I was the only one cutting fabric for, a month. And it's been tough. And so we're still behind with getting your orders out. And I appreciate your patience with that. We're working so hard. We've got a couple other people in here now helping us ship, and we are pretty slowly trying to pick our speed back up and get ourselves situated. And so we will get your orders out to you, and we just love and appreciate you so much for your support, especially during this time when I know that people are scared of what the future holds, and you're not sure, what to do about your own situation with your funds and things like that. So thank you for not only for us, for helping keeping us going, but all the other shops that you guys have supported. I know that we all appreciate you very, very much. So anyway, that's my spiel. So I loved doing this. This is so much fun, and I've just fallen in love with so many of these beautiful designs, and I just can't wait to sit down and stitch a little bit. And I'm so happy for all of you that you've had some time to stitch through this, which has just been wonderful. I'll be back with another video soon. We've got several other trunk shows in here, which, have just been fantastic. So we're going to be getting through some of those and sharing that stuff with you. All these beautiful charts should be online. Think about the specialty kits. The boxes and stuff should be online. If you don't see what you want, send me an email. I'll try to get through that and get that to you. And just enjoy yourself. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate you. Bye.